Imagine a world where the earth trembles beneath the weight of ancient gods. Gods whose names have been lost in time, whose power still pulses beneath the surface of the earth, in the whispers of the wind and in the beat of the drum. These gods don't belong to any one place. They are not just stories. They are the untold forces that once shaped the destiny of kingdoms, and their spirits still linger, waiting to be remembered. Whose might could rival any deity from the most famous mythologies of the world. Africa, the cradle of humanity, is also the birthplace of some of the most powerful and diverse mythologies the world has ever known. But for centuries, these gods, often overshadowed by more widely recognized pantheons, have remained in the shadows. These aren't the gods you learn about in textbooks or see in Hollywood films. These are the deities whose names have been lost, whose stories are tucked away in villages and oral traditions, passed down through generations in whispers. They are the forces of nature, the guardians of wisdom, the bringers of life and death, all forgotten or never known at all. But what if I told you that these gods are still very much alive, that their spirits still breathe in the wind, move in the waves, and echo through the beats of African drums? These gods never truly left. They are just waiting to be remembered. Today, we're going to take you deep into the heart of African mythology to discover the mightiest gods that you've probably never heard of. Gods whose power shaped kingdoms, whose wisdom guided leaders, and whose stories are so rich they could change the way you see the world. This journey will introduce you to the hidden deities whose names have been lost to time, but whose powers are as potent as they were centuries ago. You'll discover gods whose influence reaches beyond the borders of Africa, and whose myths will challenge the way you think about divinity, power, and the forces that shape our world. By the end of this video, you'll not only be introduced to these divine beings, but feel their presence resonate within you, urging you to remember what history has tried to bury. Now, let the gods rise. Let the countdown begin. Africa is a continent brimming with diversity, not just in its landscapes and cultures, but in its spiritual beliefs and the gods it venerates. From the deserts of North Africa to the lush jungles of the Congo, the gods of Africa reflect the landscapes they inhabit and the people who worship them. Unlike the monotheistic traditions that dominate much of the Western world, African spiritual systems are often polytheistic, with a vast pantheon of gods, each governing different aspects of life. These deities are not just distant, omnipotent beings, but are seen as intimately involved in the day-to-day lives of the people, influencing everything from agriculture to governance, from health to social relationships. Yet, despite the richness and depth of African mythology, many of these gods remain unknown to the outside world. This is partly due to the deeply localized nature of African religious practices. Unlike ancient Greek or Norse myths, which have been widely disseminated and commercialized, African gods often remain tightly woven into specific tribal or regional traditions. Their stories are passed down orally in sacred songs, dances, and rituals, often in languages that are unfamiliar to those outside the communities that hold them sacred. These gods are deeply connected to the land, to ancestors, and to the people they protect, making their understanding both highly personal and profoundly local. What makes African mythology even more fascinating is its diversity. No single narrative can encompass the entirety of African gods, from the Yoruba people of West Africa to the Zulu in the south, from the ancient Egyptians to the Maasai. Each culture has its own rich and unique pantheon. Even within a single region, the gods may change, adapting to local customs, needs, and beliefs. Some gods are associated with natural forces such as the sun, the rain, or the earth itself, Others govern human emotions like love, revenge, or wisdom. And then there are those who oversee life after death, guiding souls to the afterlife or determining their fate. This diversity makes African mythology both incredibly complex and wonderfully rich. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to understanding the gods of Africa. These deities don't just stand in the background of human existence. They are at the center of it, constantly influencing and guiding their followers. For those willing to look beyond the surface, the gods of Africa offer a window into a world of spirituality that is as complex and varied as the continent itself. The myths and deities we're about to explore represent only a fraction of this vast landscape, yet they serve as powerful reminders of the deep spiritual connections that many African cultures still maintain with their gods today. Through these stories, we'll uncover not just gods, but the values and wisdom that have shaped African civilizations for centuries. In the heart of West Africa, one of the mightiest gods of the Yoruba pantheon stands tall. Ogun, the god of iron, war, and labor. Ogun is not just a deity, he is the very embodiment of raw strength, resilience, and perseverance. His name resonates across time and space, evoking images of warriors wielding swords, blacksmiths hammering at molten metal, and communities forging ahead against all odds. To the Yoruba people, Ogun is the god who carves paths through the wilderness, who helps shape civilizations by giving humanity the tools to build, fight, and survive. Historically, Ogun's significance can be traced back to the ancient kingdoms of the Yoruba, where his influence was felt in all corners of society. He is said to have been the first god to descend from the heavens to the earth, bringing with him the knowledge of ironworking. As a master of metallurgy, Ogun was responsible for the creation of weapons, tools, and all things forged from iron. To the Yoruba, iron was not just a metal, it was a sacred material imbued with the essence of Ogun's power. Every blade, every plow, and every chisel was considered to carry the blessing of Ogun, who was believed to guide the hands of those who worked the forge and wielded the tools. Worship of Ogun is as fierce and unyielding as the god himself. Devotees honor him through rituals that celebrate strength and determination, often centered around the act of labor. In Yoruba culture, Ogun is not merely a god of war, but also a patron of workers, craftsmen, and those who labor to build and create. His festivals are filled with drumming, dancing, and offerings of sacrifices, particularly of animals associated with strength, like dogs and rams. The people call upon Ogun not only for protection in battle, but also to empower their work and ensure the success of their efforts, whether they are in the field, the workshop, or the battlefield. Ogun's attributes are as multifaceted as the metal he governs. He is a god of fire, of the forge, and of destruction. He is often depicted with a large iron sword or a hammer, tools that symbolize both his creative and destructive powers. He can bring swift and decisive war to his enemies, and yet he is also a builder of empires, a creator of civilizations. His connection to the earth is as deep as his ties to the heavens, for he is said to have carved the paths through the wilderness that led humanity to the cities and towns where they could build their homes. His very presence is said to drive away obstacles, clearing paths both literally and metaphorically. The symbolism of Ogun is both personal and societal. He represents the struggle of humanity to overcome adversity, to forge ahead despite hardships, and to fight for justice and honor. His influence reaches beyond the Yoruba people. His worship spread to the Americas through the transatlantic slave trade, where he became a powerful figure in Afro-Caribbean religions such as Santeria and Candomblé. In these traditions, Ogun is revered as a god of protection, of war, and of progress. His worshippers continue to honor him through rituals that connect them to their African heritage, even if they are thousands of miles away from the land of Ogun's origin. Ogun's influence is not confined to the spiritual realm. It extends deeply into the culture and daily life of the people who honor him. His impact is felt in the values he represents: strength, determination, hard work, and the unyielding will to push forward no matter the challenges. These values are embedded in the very fabric of Yoruba society, where labor is considered a sacred act and the fruits of hard work are seen as blessings from Ogun himself. Whether it's in the construction of buildings, the creation of art, or the fight for freedom and justice, Ogun's spirit is present in every act of creation and every battle fought for righteousness. In modern-day Yoruba communities, Ogun's influence remains profound. His name is invoked by those who engage in physical labor or combat, and his strength is called upon in times of personal or communal struggle. His power transcends generations, and his worship continues to shape the lives of those who follow him. Ogun's symbolism as both a creator and destroyer is a reminder that every act of creation involves destruction, the breaking down of old systems, the forging of new paths, and the transformation of society. Through Ogun, the Yoruba people honor not just the god of war, but the god of progress, the god of labor, and the god who shapes the very foundations of human civilization. Ogun's power is both timeless and eternal. His spirit continues to live in the hearts of those who believe in the strength of the human spirit and the transformative power of work, labor, and determination. In every forge, every battlefield, and every workshop, Ogun's presence is felt, ensuring that his legacy as the god of power endures through the ages. In the heart of the Zulu mythology, there exists a god whose presence is felt not through the clashing of swords or the forging of weapons, but through the gentle touch of protection, healing, and peace. Unkulunkulu, the supreme creator deity of the Zulu people, is the embodiment of benevolence and safeguarding. Unkulunkulu is not only seen as the god who created the world, but also as the protector of life, ensuring harmony between the physical and spiritual realms. His name, which means the Great One, carries the weight of a powerful protector whose influence permeates every facet of existence, from the tiniest blade of grass to the largest warrior on the battlefield. Unkulunkulu's role as a protector is deeply rooted in the Zulu understanding of balance and unity in the world. The Zulu people believe that he not only created the world, but also imbued it with a sacred order that must be respected. As the guardian of this order, Unkulunkulu watches over his people, ensuring that peace and justice are maintained. His role as a protector extends beyond the mundane. He is the god who safeguards life from malevolent forces, who keeps the community safe from harm, and who blesses individuals with the strength to persevere through trials. In times of war, Unkulunkulu is the one warriors call upon for strength and victory. His benevolence is not just about passive protection. It is about actively ensuring that those who seek justice and balance are given the courage and power to overcome their enemies. The cultural impact of Unkulunkulu is profound. His protection is invoked not only during times of war, but also during moments of personal strife. When a community faces hardship, whether it be from illness, natural disaster, or social unrest, it is to Unkulunkulu that they turn for relief. In daily life, people seek his blessings for prosperity, for the well-being of their families, and for the success of their endeavors. The connection between the people and Unkulunkulu is not one of distant reverence, but of intimate companionship. He is seen as a father figure, always watching over his children, guiding them through the challenges of life and ensuring that they are never left unprotected in times of need. Visually, Unkulunkulu is often depicted in the form of an elder, a wise and peaceful figure whose serene countenance radiates authority and compassion. He is portrayed as a man of great age, with long white hair and a beard that symbolize his wisdom and experience. He holds a staff or a spear, not as a weapon of war, but as a symbol of his guiding presence. His posture is upright and commanding, yet his expression is gentle and welcoming, embodying the paradox of a protector who is both strong and nurturing. In many depictions, Unkulunkulu is shown surrounded by the natural world, symbolizing his connection to all of creation. His image invokes feelings of peace and security, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there is a divine force that watches over and protects. In addition to his visual representation, Unkulunkulu's symbolism is deeply connected to the Zulu concept of Ubuntu, the belief in the interconnectedness of all life. Ubuntu speaks to the idea that humanity is bound together, and no one is truly safe or prosperous unless all are safe and prosperous. This philosophy is mirrored in Unkulunkulu's protection. He is not a god who favors the few over the many. His protection is all-encompassing, extending to all living things, ensuring that peace and harmony reign in the world he created. His influence is felt in the community, in the land, and in the hearts of his people as they strive to live in balance with each other and with the earth. Unkulunkulu's protective nature is also reflected in the spiritual practices of the Zulu people. Rituals and prayers are offered to him in times of crisis, with the hope that he will guide his people through their struggles. These rituals often take place at sacred sites, such as mountaintops or near rivers, where the forces of nature are believed to be particularly strong. Offerings are made to Unkulunkulu in the form of sacrifices, including animals and grains, as tokens of gratitude for his protection and blessings. Through these acts, the people not only honor their god, but also reaffirm their deep connection to the natural world, to the divine, and to each other. In a world that can often feel chaotic and uncertain, Unkulunkulu stands as a beacon of hope, peace, and protection. His influence stretches far beyond the boundaries of the Zulu people, offering a reminder to all that true strength lies not in domination, but in the benevolent protection of those who need it most. As the ultimate protector, Unkulunkulu's legacy continues to inspire and guide those who seek refuge in his embrace, providing them with the wisdom and fortitude to navigate the challenges of life with grace and resilience. In the rich tapestry of African mythology, there exists a god whose wit and cunning often steal the show, Anansi, the spider god of the Akan people, one of the most beloved trickster figures across West Africa. Anansi is far from the traditional deity who commands the respect of kings or wields immense power through brute force. Instead, he is a master of cleverness, a god whose primary strength lies in his sharp mind and quick wit. His stories are filled with humor, charm, and mischief, often demonstrating how intelligence and cunning can triumph over physical might. Anansi is most famously known as the Trickster god, whose exploits often involve outwitting gods, kings, and even other animals. What makes Anansi particularly fascinating is his ability to manipulate situations to his advantage, often using his intelligence to gain what he desires. Unlike other gods who rely on power or might, Anansi's wisdom is his weapon. He is portrayed as both a human and a spider, embodying the qualities of both creatures, the spider's ability to weave webs and ensnare prey, and the human's cunning and resourcefulness. Anansi's webs are often metaphors for his ability to ensnare people in his tricks, pulling them into elaborate plans that leave them bewildered but, at times, enlightened. In many of Anansi's stories, he plays the role of the underdog. He is not physically strong or imposing, but his cleverness allows him to overcome much larger and more powerful opponents. One of the most famous tales of Anansi involves his quest to obtain all the stories of the world. The stories were initially owned by the sky god Niame, who agreed to give them to Anansi if he could perform 3 seemingly impossible tasks. Through a series of clever tricks, Anansi outwits various creatures, including a leopard, a python, and an elephant, ultimately winning the stories and earning his place as the god of wisdom and storytelling. Anansi's role as a trickster goes beyond just causing mischief. He serves as a teacher, offering lessons about the complexities of life, the importance of intelligence over brawn, and the consequences of trickery. His tales are not just for entertainment. They are meant to challenge the listener's understanding of morality, power, and wisdom. Often, Anansi's tricks come with a twist, a consequence that teaches a valuable lesson about the dangers of greed, arrogance, or overconfidence. Through his antics, Anansi shows that wisdom, wit, and humility are often more powerful than physical strength or wealth. One of the central themes in Anansi's stories is the idea that the clever can outsmart the powerful. His ability to manipulate situations teaches that intelligence, strategy, and adaptability are vital for survival and success. In a world where brute force often reigns, Anansi's tales remind us that there are always alternative ways to approach problems, and sometimes the most unexpected solutions are the best. His stories encourage listeners to think critically, question authority, and recognize the value of wit over muscle. Anansi is also a god of storytelling, and his influence on African oral traditions cannot be overstated. Through his stories, he teaches the art of persuasion, the value of humor, and the power of words. In many cultures, Anansi's tales are passed down through generations, often told in the form of elaborate fables or songs. These stories have transcended the boundaries of Africa and have influenced cultures around the world, from the Caribbean to North America, where Anansi is known by different names and remains a symbol of resilience and wit. But Anansi's antics are not always as serious as they seem. In fact, there are many humorous and unexpected twists in his tales that make him one of the most entertaining deities in African mythology. One particularly amusing story involves Anansi trying to sell a pot of soup. He sets off to market, but along the way, he decides to take a shortcut and eat the soup himself. However, as he continues to eat, he becomes more and more bloated, and by the time he reaches the market, there's no soup left to sell. Instead of being upset, Anansi cleverly convinces the villagers that the soup has already been sold to someone else, and that they should all gather around to hear the story of how it was so delicious. In the end, Anansi's quick thinking allows him to avoid punishment, and he leaves the market with a new reputation for storytelling. These playful antics are what make Anansi's character so beloved. His mischievous nature, combined with his wisdom, teaches that life doesn't always have to be taken seriously. Through his pranks and tricks, he reminds us that sometimes laughter, cleverness, and a little bit of trickery can solve even the most difficult problems. His stories continue to entertain, educate, and inspire, proving that the best way to navigate the world may not always be through strength, but through wit, creativity, and humor. In the lush lands of West Africa, there is a goddess revered as the nurturer of life, the protector of fertility, and the embodiment of creation itself. Oshun, the Yoruba goddess of love, fertility, and fresh waters, holds a revered place in African mythology. Oshun is not just a goddess of the physical realm. She represents the very essence of life's flow, beauty, and the ability to give and sustain life. As the goddess of fresh waters, she is closely linked to rivers and streams, symbolizing the life-giving force of water, essential for agriculture, growth, and renewal. Oshun's connection to nature is profound and deeply embedded in the Yoruba understanding of the world. She is often depicted as a beautiful and graceful woman, adorned in gold and flowing robes, with a serene yet powerful presence that reflects her role as the goddess of water and fertility. Rivers, particularly the Oshun River in Nigeria, are sacred to her, and she is believed to live in these waters, offering blessings to those who seek her help. As the goddess of fertility, Oshun governs the cycles of life, ensuring that the earth is nourished and that new life can be born. Her waters are considered a source of nourishment, not just for crops, but for the spirit itself. In this way, Oshun is directly tied to the very essence of life. Her rivers feed the land, her presence brings prosperity, and her nurturing spirit fosters both physical and emotional growth. In the agricultural societies of the Yoruba people, Oshun's role in ensuring fertility and abundance is integral to their survival. Her blessings are sought for good harvests, the birth of children, and the health of both humans and the land. During planting and harvesting seasons, farmers pray to Oshun for a bountiful harvest, believing that her favor can ensure that the earth is fertile and yields its crops abundantly. Her connection to the earth and agriculture is central to the sustenance of life in these communities, and she is honored as a provider of everything that grows, both in nature and within human beings. Oshun's worship is accompanied by various rituals and festivals, most notably the Osun Osogbo Festival, which takes place annually in Osogbo, Nigeria. This festival is a vibrant celebration of Oshun's life-giving power and her role as a protector of the people. Pilgrims from all over the world travel to Osogbo to honor her, bringing offerings of honey, oranges, and gold, which are sacred to her. These offerings symbolize the sweetness and abundance that Oshun provides. The festival includes processions, music, dances, and prayers, all dedicated to invoking Oshun's favor and blessings. One of the most iconic rituals of this festival is the procession of the priestesses, who journey to the Oshun River, where they offer prayers and make sacrifices to the goddess, asking for her guidance, protection, and continued blessings for the community. Beyond the grand festivals, Oshun is also worshipped in more intimate settings, where individuals offer personal prayers for fertility, health, and prosperity. Women seeking to conceive or those wishing for a successful pregnancy often turn to Oshun, offering her gifts of honey or water from her sacred rivers. Her symbolism as the goddess of fertility extends beyond just childbirth to encompass the creation of life in all forms, from the planting of crops to the nurturing of relationships. In many Yoruba households, shrines to Oshun can be found, decorated with symbols of the goddess, golden objects, honey, and sweet fruits, while prayers are whispered for her blessings. Oshun's worship is a reminder of the sacred connection between the divine, nature, and human life. Through her, the Yoruba people acknowledge the essential role of nurturing and care, not only for the land but for the community and family. Oshun's legacy continues to thrive today, both in Africa and the African diaspora. Her worship has spread beyond Nigeria, particularly to places like Brazil and Cuba, where she is honored in the Afro-Brazilian and Afro-Cuban religious practices of Candomblé and Santeria. As a goddess of love, fertility, and water, Oshun's influence is universal, reminding us of the essential role that nurturing, care, and protection play in the creation and preservation of life. In the heart of African spirituality, There exists a God whose influence extends beyond the realm of power and war, diving deep into the waters of wisdom, knowledge, and governance. Orunmila, a deity of the Yoruba pantheon, stands as the god of wisdom, knowledge, and divination. Orunmila is considered the deity who holds the secrets of the universe, the one who has the ability to see into the future and understand the hidden truths of existence. Known as the deity of wisdom, his insights guide individuals and societies in making decisions that align with cosmic and spiritual order. Orunmila's role as the god of wisdom is not just about acquiring knowledge, but also about understanding how to apply that knowledge in harmony with the world. He is the source of the Ifa divination system, a spiritual practice used to gain insight and wisdom through the interpretation of signs and symbols. Ifa is not just a tool for predicting the future. It is a deeply philosophical practice that seeks to connect human beings with the spiritual realm, guiding them toward moral clarity, spiritual understanding, and wise decision-making. Orunmila's teachings emphasize balance, respect for the natural world, and living in accordance with divine principles. The philosophy of Orunmila urges individuals to seek wisdom not only for personal gain, but for the betterment of society as a whole. In Yoruba culture, Orunmila's influence on philosophy is profound. His wisdom is seen as the foundation for both individual conduct and societal norms. The idea that wisdom and knowledge should guide action is central to the Yoruba way of life. Orunmila teaches that true wisdom is not just about intellect, but also about understanding the deeper truths of the universe and acting in harmony with them. This wisdom is shared through Orunmila's proverbs and teachings, passed down through generations, offering guidance on everything from personal relationships to leadership and governance. His words shape the way the Yoruba people think about fate, morality, and the role of the individual in society. Through Orunmila, wisdom is viewed as a path to achieving peace and balance, both within oneself and in the community. Orunmila's influence extends into the realm of leadership and governance. His wisdom is sought by rulers, kings, and leaders who wish to make just and wise decisions. In ancient Yoruba society, the king, or Oba, would consult Orunmila's teachings before making critical decisions that affected the kingdom. The practice of consulting Orunmila's wisdom was not limited to the elite. It was believed that anyone could seek Orunmila's guidance through the Ifa divination process, making his teachings accessible to all. This system created a society where wisdom, knowledge, and just decision-making were integral to the well-being of the community. Orunmila's influence ensured that the leaders were not only rulers but also wise guides who upheld justice, order, and the spiritual laws of the universe. Orunmila's wisdom is also crucial in the moral and ethical structure of Yoruba society. His teachings emphasize the importance of good character, honesty, and integrity. The Yoruba people believe that living in accordance with Orunmila's teachings leads to harmony and success, while straying from these principles brings disorder and chaos. In this way, Orunmila's influence on leadership goes beyond political governance. It shapes the way individuals are expected to govern their own lives. Leaders who followed Orunmila's wisdom were seen as divinely guided, their decisions respected as they were made with spiritual and moral clarity. In modern times, Orunmila's influence remains potent, particularly within the context of Yoruba culture and its diasporic communities. His teachings continue to guide leaders, philosophers, and those who seek to live in harmony with the universe. Orunmila's wisdom is seen as timeless, offering insight into not just personal life, but also the broader challenges of the world. His teachings continue to inspire people to seek knowledge, act with integrity, and lead with wisdom, ensuring that his legacy as the God of wisdom and knowledge endures through the ages. In the the deep, shadowy realms of African mythology, where the boundary between life and death blurs, stands Eshu, the Yoruba god who governs the crossroads of the living and the dead. Though often associated with trickery and mischief, Eshu also holds dominion over the underworld, acting as a powerful figure who oversees the journey of souls after death. Eshu is a god of balance whose realm lies between the physical and spiritual worlds. His influence ensures that the flow of life and death remains constant, maintaining equilibrium in the universe. Eshu's role as the god of the underworld is unique because, unlike other deities who might dwell exclusively in one realm, he serves as the mediator between the living and the dead. He is the divine messenger, the one who guides souls to their ultimate destination, whether that be the ancestral realm or a reincarnation on Earth. As a god of crossroads, Eshu stands at the pivotal moments where decisions are made, symbolizing the choices that define one's fate. His position in the afterlife reinforces the cyclical nature of existence, where death is not an end, but rather a transition to another form of being. In Yoruba cosmology, the afterlife is seen not as a void, but as a continuation of existence in a different plane. Souls do not simply vanish. They are guided to their rightful place, a journey that is facilitated by Eshu's control over the passage between worlds. Eshu represents the delicate balance between order and chaos, as well as the fluidity of life and death. Through him, the Yoruba believe that the spirits of the deceased continue to interact with the living, watching over them and providing guidance when necessary. A particularly captivating story surrounding Eshu is that of how he created the first crossroads. According to Yoruba mythology, when the world was still young, there were no paths, no roads, and no boundaries between the different realms. Eshu, seeing the disorder that ensued, decided to create the first crossroads. He placed a stone in the middle of the path where all directions converged, marking the sacred space where choices would be made. From then on, all decisions, whether they pertained to life or death, had to pass through Eshu's domain. One of the most famous myths involving Eshu revolves around a great dispute between two deities, Orunmila and Shango, the god of thunder. Both gods had their own ideas of how the world should be governed, and their disagreement threatened to throw the world into chaos. Eshu, ever the trickster, devised a plan to teach them both a lesson. Disguised as a messenger, he went to each god separately, convincing them that the other was seeking to undermine their authority. As a result, both gods prepared to wage war on each other, but before they could do so, Eshu revealed his trickery. The gods, realizing their folly, laughed at their own foolishness, and Eshu's cunning restored order to the world. Through this myth, Eshu teaches that life is full of choices, and sometimes the road to wisdom is paved with the understanding that not everything is as it seems. Eshu's association with the underworld also ties into the Yoruba belief in the interconnectedness of all things. In many African cultures, death is not viewed as a final destination, but as part of the natural cycle of life. Eshu is not a god who revels in death, but rather one who ensures that the transition is smooth and that the balance between the living and the dead is upheld. His presence at the crossroads symbolizes the choices that determine the fate of every soul, and his role in guiding spirits ensures that no one is left to wander aimlessly in the afterlife. In worship, Eshu is honored with offerings and rituals, particularly at crossroads or sacred sites. The Yoruba people invoke his blessings when embarking on important journeys or making significant life decisions. As the god of transition, Eshu's influence is felt in every moment of change, from the start of a new journey to the passage from life to death. His presence reassures the faithful that no matter what paths they take, Ishu is there to ensure they are never truly alone on their journey. In this way, Eshu embodies the eternal balance between life and death, light and dark, and order and chaos, an ever-present force in the cycle of existence. As we bring this journey to a close, we've uncovered just a glimpse of the awe-inspiring power, wisdom, and depth that African gods offer to the world. From Ogun, the god of strength and labor, to the benevolent protector Unkulunkulu, each deity carries within them not only the energy of the earth, but the timeless lessons that resonate across cultures, borders, and generations. These gods represent not just the forces that shape nature, but the essence of human experience, our struggles, our triumphs, our wisdom, and our connection to something greater than ourselves. Each story, each myth offers a unique window into the diverse spiritual traditions of Africa, reminding us that the divine is not distant or abstract, but intimately woven into the fabric of daily life. The gods we've explored today, whether they wield power, wisdom, protection, or mischief, show us the profound role that belief systems play in shaping culture, values, and personal identities. Their lessons transcend time, urging us to live with balance, to seek wisdom, to protect the innocent, and to never underestimate the power of intellect and cunning in the face of adversity. As we finish our exploration, remember that these stories are far from forgotten. They live in the hearts of millions, passed down through generations, and continue to influence people around the world. The gods of Africa are not merely relics of the past, but powerful forces, eternal and ever-present, waiting to guide and shape those who seek their wisdom. Thank you for joining us on this sacred journey. If something in these stories resonated with you, leave a comment below and let us know which God's spirit still walks with you. Don't forget to like this video as a tribute to the divine forces we've honored today. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more journeys into the myths and legends that shape our world. Let the gods rise, and may their stories continue to inspire and guide us in ways we've yet to understand.